Hello and welcome back to the Maths Behind Economics channel. This is the second video in the Exponents for Economics series, and today we're going to talk about the first rule when we're multiplying the same bases. Remember, in the first video we covered what exponents are. We talked about the definition. We also looked at the vocabulary, so what are the different names of the parts involved, and then we quickly went over all the different rules. Now, in this video, we're only going to concentrate on the first rule, which is multiplying the same bases. I'm going to give you some intuition into why the rule works, and we're going to look at some examples. So let's get started, and first of all, write down what the rule says. So if you have got the same bases but with different powers, and you multiply them together, the rule says that the result will be the same base raised to the sum of those two powers. So let's have an intuition why the rule works. And for that, just have a think about what's happening when we multiply together 5 squared with 5 to the 4. Now, first of all, we're going to call on what 5 squared actually means. Well, 5 squared is nothing more, it's just 5 multiplied by 5. Now I'm going to have to multiply that by 5 to the 4th, which is basically 5 multiplied by itself 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So far we haven't done anything else, we just remembered what 5 squared and 5 to the 4 means. We applied the definition in another way. Now, what's actually going on in here? Again, we've got the same base multiplied by itself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So it's multiplied together twice plus 4 times, which makes it 5 to the 6. So that's the intuition, that's why these things work. Now let's go over it again, but this time use the generic notation. So a to the n multiplied by a to the m. Well, again, by definition, and I'm going to write here by def, a to the n is a times dot 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 times a. Now, in mathematics, these triple dots means keep going with the same pattern until you reach wherever point you want to do. So this basically gonna tell me that I'm gonna have to multiply it n times, but then I'm multiplying it again, a by a by a, but this time around, this is m times. So all together, we have got the n plus m times. So this can be written as a to the n plus m. Remember, if you multiply the same number together a given number of times, that is the shorthand notation for that is a to the n plus m. So we're repeating the same, so we're repeatedly multiplying the same bases together n and m times. So hopefully this makes some sense. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples. How to apply this rule. So I got 2 cubed, and I need to multiply that by 2 to the 5th. So altogether, that's going to be 2 to the 3 plus 5, which is basically just 2 to the 8th. The next one, negative 5 cubed multiplied by negative 5 squared. Right, so what we're going to have is negative 5 to the 3 plus 2, which makes it negative 5 to the 5th. I would like to draw your attention to the second part, this negative 5 in bracket squared. Now, we have to be careful here because this is not equal to negative 5 squared. The bracket here has got a very important role. It tells me that first I have to apply the negative sign, then the squaring. Here, I'm applying the squaring first and then a negative sign. So I don't know whether you remember BODMAS, but this is what's happening here at the background. We have to remember that brackets come first. So what this side means is negative 5 times negative 5, but this side means negative 5 times 5. So this will give me, let me come a bit further down, this will give me negative times negative is positive, so that's positive 25, but this one is negative 25. Now, what's going on when I've got it with the negative 5 to the third power? Well, let's compare these two. So it's negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5, and this is negative 5 times 5 times 5. Well, as a matter of fact, I'm multiplying two negative numbers together. That's going to give me positive. But then I'm multiplying a positive and a negative together, so the final result will be a negative number. 5 times 5 is 25, 5 times 25 is 125. So, and again, this is 125 and the negative sign out. So in general, a negative number to an odd power is going to be the negative to that same odd power. But a negative number to an even power is going to be that number to the even power. Because remember, every time you multiply two negative numbers together, you end up with a positive number. But with an odd numbers, you're going to have that one extra negative, which is going to keep the result here. Okay? Now that was a kind of side note, but I think it's quite important to remember what's the difference between positive and negative basis. Okay, now let's move on to the next example. Now, especially in higher economics, most of the time you're going to have to work with variables or letters rather than numbers. So let's do a few examples like that. So x to the 6 multiplied by x to the 4th. So that's just going to give us x to the 6 plus 4, which is x to the 10. Now, whenever you're doing these kind of examples, here in the beginning, I've clearly written out the sums. Now, that's good when you're practicing, but once you become familiar, you don't need to write out these sums. You just have to write out the final answer. Okay, let's look at another example. Y cubed multiplied by y squared and then multiplied by y to the 7. Now, what can we do here? The rule only tells us what to do with two numbers if they multiply together when they've got the same basis but different powers. So let's just do that. Look at the first two. That's going to give me y to the 5th, and then I still need to multiply that with y to the 7. And again, I can apply that same rule again. So that's going to give me y to the 12. Yeah. Now, even though the rule only applies to pairs, I can break an expression with multiple terms, these are all individual terms, multiple terms into pairs, and therefore I could apply the same rule again and again and again. As a matter of fact, that would be the same effect as if I was just summing all the powers up, and that would give me y to the 12 again. So in future, if we have got more than two of the same bases multiplied together, we're just going to sum up the powers and then just write this final result like that. Okay, last example for this video. B squared multiplied by b to the 5th and then multiplied by b to the 4th. Again, use the same rule. That's altogether going to be 2 plus 5 makes 7 plus 4, 11. So that's going to be b to the 11. Right, so that concludes the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have got a better idea now why the rule works, and see you in the next video.